Tonight on Y News. Bakers requesting for bread price increase amid rising production cost. The Philippines records more than 900 new human immunodeficiency virus or HIV cases in June this year. And the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board to open 10,000 slots for TNVS franchise application. Good evening. Some bakery owners are planning to increase the prices of bread amid surging inflation in the country. Here's why from Monokson.
Bakery owners are complaining about rising production costs amid reported surge in inflation in the previous months. According to Wilson Flores, a member of the Filipino-Chinese Bakers Association, the cost of bread production increased following the spike in sugar, milk, and egg prices. Based on their computations, sugar costs rose by 30%, milk and cooking gas by 10%, and eggs by 3%. With these figures, Flores' accountant is urging him to raise bread prices to offset their rising production costs.
Sinasabihan ko pa siya, nagnenegosyo tayo sir, hindi naman tayo charity. Kaya dapat magtataas tayo ng presyo.
But Flores rejects the proposal as he does not want to lose his loyal customers amid tough competition.
Hindi kami santo ayaw namin mawala ng customer din. Kasi kung tumaas kami ng tumaas ang presyo, baka kumonti ng kumonti ang kakainin ng tao pang araw-araw, magtitipid na lang sila, ayaw din namin mangyari yon. Gusto namin win-win.
Since January, there is no recorded increase in the price of flour. That is why Flores is not eager to increase prices. However, he is also considering his accountant's advice to hike prices if the value of the raw materials continues to surge.
Siyempre, accountant ko, hindi siya concerned sa sales, sa customer. Ang concern lang niya, tumaas ang cost mo. Dapat mag-adjust ka naman dyan. Pag-uusapan namin next week. Kung kailangan o hindi, at saka kailan.
Meanwhile, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas projects a 5.1 to 5.8% inflation in July due to the increase in agricultural product prices, including sugar and power and water rates. In a statement, BSP said that the July inflation and the implementation of the tax reform law is seen to affect the prices of products and services. Mon Hokson, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Senate Committee on Agriculture and Food Chairperson Cynthia Villar assures transparency in using the 100 billion peso Coco levy fund under a restored Philippine Coconut Authority. This is following Senator Francis Pangalinan's dissatisfaction over the provisions of the version that the Bicameral Conference Committee endorsed earlier. The BICAM body approved the creation of the Coconut Levy Trust Fund, which will allow farmers to benefit from the government's collected coconut levy fund during the Marcos regime. The fund will be managed by a reformed or reconstituted PCA. This is in contrast to Pangalinan's version that seeks for the creation of a trust fund committee with farmers as the majority of its members. Nevertheless, Pangilinan hopes that the government will give utmost consideration to the farmers in spending the Coco Levy Fund, as they should have a major part in every decision regarding its utilization. Villar, meanwhile, assures that all the funds released from the Coco Levy Trust Fund will be subjected to audit.
Remember, Philippine Coconut Authority is a government organization. So lahat ng gagawin niya subject to audit.
Agriculture Secretary Emmanuel Piñol clarifies the government's report on inflation and rising prices of rice during a budget briefing at the lower house earlier. Piñol says the agriculture sector did not cause the increase in the country's inflation in the recent months, attributing it instead to the high cost of fuel, which increased farmers' costs of production. The official also adds that inflations, as well as very high inputs and low production of rice and insufficient irrigation facilities, has caused the surge in rice prices.
The agriculture sector actually is not the cause of inflation. It is actually reacting to inflation. The reason why rice prices went up is because prices of fuel went up.
Piñol also asked Congress to make sure that under the revised agricultural tariffication bill, tariffs collected from imported rice would go directly to the farmers. Meanwhile, the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board will be opening 10,000 slots of franchise application for new Transport Network Vehicle Services or TNVS. Joan Nano tells us why.
Government regulators will be accepting franchise applications for new Transport Network Vehicle Services. According to the Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board, 10,000 slots will be opened this month to reach the 65,000 supply cap set in Metro Manila. Presently, there are 55,000 units on LTFRB's master list of active TNVS that needs to apply for their provisional authority and certificate of public convenience.
Doon sa mga gustong pumasok dito sa serbisyong ito, hintay lang ng konti, but we're now trying to open a new line so that we will be able to accept applications outside of the original master list.
The agency appeals to TNVS drivers to process their franchise applications early, though a deadline is yet to be determined.
Yung mga nasa listahan, alam nyo naman kung sino kayo na nasa listahan. In fact, tinatawagan kayo ng Grab na mag-apply na kayo. Pag mag-apply na rin kayo, no, para lihitin muna kayong tatakbo at tumatakbo sa daan, no, as a TNVS.
Of the 55,000 names in the master list, only 20,000 have processed their application. Meanwhile, some transport network company admits difficulty in competing with Grab Philippines. Auto Chief Operating Officer Paulo Libertad says most of the commuters prefer Grab as they are used in booking its services.
So kami, since nagpapakilala pa lang kami, it's very hard to actually tell them to try us out and hopefully prove to them na we are a better alternative among the rest.
But according to the Philippine Competition Commission, struggles in finding loyal customers is common for new TNC players.
Ang dahilan nga dyan yung tinatawag natin na network effects, na ibig sabihin kung ikaw ay isang rider, hindi ka naman sasama sa isang network kung konti lang ang driver. Kung ikaw naman ay driver, hindi ka sasama sa isang network kung konti lang ang riders.
Joan Nano, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Land Transportation, Franchising and Regulatory Board cancels the supposed to be distribution of fuel subsidy cards to public utility jeepneys today, citing a change in schedule. In a tweet message, the Regulatory Board said the Pantawid Pasada fuel cards distribution will resume next week. The LTFRB earlier said some 179,000 jeepney operators will receive fuel vouchers worth 5,000 pesos each to help them cope with rising fuel prices. In other news, the island town of Maripipi in Biliran, Leyte is currently under a state of calamity. Here's why from Asher Kadapan Jr.
The Department of Health declares an outbreak in Maripipi, Basilan after the mosquito-borne Chikungunya virus afflicted 79 residents. A state of calamity has been declared by the local government to fast-track efforts to combat the virus, including intensified information and preventive campaigns to prevent a further rise in Chikungunya cases on the island.
Para ma-access ni Era Response Fund for mobilization purposes. So unang-una para magkadaherahin pundo para hanera IEC materials hanera pagprint hanera mga poster, pagkandakin mga forum or activity in the island.
The DOH says the current number of cases is notably higher than the 8 cases recorded in 2016. Nevertheless, the agency allayed public fears, saying the peak of the infection already passed, usually between the months of April and June.
So would like to inform also the public nga ini nga era kaso yan is controlled na nga nagdi-decrease na ni nga kaso nga era chikungunya. So waray angay kabarak-an ang community naton. Ada manggoda naton mga health personnel nga pwede bumulig regarding ini nga issue nga nagkadakitahin outbreak hin chikungunya.
Chikungunya cases are more prevalent in 7 villages in Maripipi. These are Bato, Banlas, Binalayan, Ermita, Binongtoan, Danao and Viga, where cases of chikungunya were recorded since April this year. The agency constantly reminds residents to maintain cleanliness in their surroundings to destroy potential breeding grounds of mosquitoes. Chikungunya virus causes transient sickness characterized by severe joint pain that can last from weeks to years in patients. To date, no approved vaccines or antivirals were available to treat the disease. However, treatment is focused on relieving the symptoms. Asher Gadapan Jr., UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
The Department of Health urges the public anew to avail of their free testing on human immunodeficiency virus or HIV amid an alarming rise in the number of infections. Aiko Miguel tells us why.
The Department of Health records 993 new cases of human immunodeficiency virus or HIV in June 2018 across the country. This figure is lower than the 1,015 HIV cases reported in the same period last year. Based on the report of the DOH Epidemiology Bureau, majority of the cases were among males, totaling 934, while the rest were females. 594 of the cases were of male-to-male sexual contact, followed by 267 having sex with both male and female, and 116 came from male-to-female sex. Health officials say that from 2 cases per day in 2009, Filipinos diagnosed with HIV rose to 31 in 2018. The DOH is also monitoring 4 cases of pregnant women with HIV to prevent mother-to-child transmission. A total of 28,045 people living with HIV are presently under the antiretroviral treatment to slow down the virus and stop it from attacking the immune system. With the recent figures, the Philippines remains as the country with fastest growing HIV cases in the Asia Pacific, based on the report of the United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS.
HIV cases continue to rise, and the worst part is many of the cases are among individuals who are afraid to get themselves tested. The country has the highest percent of increase of new HIV cases in the Asia and Pacific region from 2010 to 2016 at 133%.
Health officials are urging the public to avail of the free HIV testing they offer. If they test positive, the DOH will provide a treatment for them to suppress the virus growth, which will give them the option to still live productively despite infection. And to eliminate the stigma, the DOH also launched a search for HIV/AIDS advocacy ambassadors to educate the public about the illness.
As a three-way pageant, men, women, and transgender women are free to join Live Free Advocates. It is open to individuals aged 20 to 26 years old who have good communication skills and are passionate about the campaign's cause.
Aiko Miguel, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Up next on Y News. The Philippine National Police places Metro Manila and ARMM under heightened alert following the bombing in Lamitan, Basilan. Justice Antonio Carpio believes West Philippine Sea's joint development proposal between Philippines and China should not waive sovereign rights and arbitral ruling. And ASEAN ministers hope to strike a cybersecurity deal with Russia as they tackle issues affecting the region in a meeting in Singapore. Thank you for keeping me company in the first part of Y News. More reasons behind the stories with Angelo Castro III and William Thio after this quick break. I'm Rheena Villamor-Camara. Good evening.
Welcome back to Y News. We pick up from where Rheena Villamor-Camara left off. I am Angelo Castro III. Here are the headlines. Suspect in the Lamitan Basilan bombing now in police custody. Senate still not keen in fast-tracking the charter change bill despite House Speaker Arroyo's support on separate voting. And the Philippine National Police forms 3 new strategies to weed out scalawags within their ranks. Good evening. Authorities nab an ustads or a preacher allegedly connected to the blast that occurred in Basilan last Tuesday. Police identified the suspect as Indalin Jainul, who was arrested after he was found possessing a fragmentation grenade. Zainul is now facing complaints on illegal possession of explosives, while charges on multiple murder and serious physical injuries are being prepared. Zainul's family, however, denies the accusations, though they say he went missing last Tuesday and heard only of his detention on Thursday at the Naga City police station. The Philippine National Police places Metro Manila and the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao under heightened alert following Tuesday's bombing in Lamitan, Basilan that killed 10 individuals. According to PNP spokesman Senior Superintendent Benigno Durana, more cops are being deployed on the street and their intelligence gathering is being intensified. Durana also calls on the public to be very vigilant, though police have yet to receive information regarding direct terrorism threats in Metro Manila.
So, nothing to be alarmed. Your police is on top of the situation. The security forces is on top of the situation. And but at the same time, we want to be proactive. That's why even here in Metro Manila, nagkaroon po tayo ng heightened alert.
PDP Laban President Senator Coco Pimentel insists the party is well and healthy amid rumors of reorganization following Congresswoman Gloria Arroyo's ascension to speakership. Grace Casin tells us why.
PDP Laban National President Senator Coco Pimentel III responds to call from party members to elect newly installed House Speaker Gloria Arroyo as the party's Secretary General, a position currently occupied by ousted Speaker Pantalon Alvarez. Senator Pimentel explains that Arroyo's election as House Speaker does not constitute her being elected to a higher position in the ruling party, as it is not stated in the rules of PDP Laban.
It was the House of Representatives which was reorganized. It doesn't mean a political party is automatically reorganized when the House reorganizes, because otherwise, you're giving other political parties influence over your party. Wala pong ganun.
Arroyo was a no-show at the PDP Laban leaders meeting earlier, but Pimentel assures they will try to resolve the matter among them. For his part, former Speaker Alvarez says he is open to giving up his position in the party for Arroyo. However, he will let the party decide on the issue. He also assures he bears no grudge after his sudden ouster in the lower house.
Well, okay naman ako. Sinabi ko nga noon na the pain lasted for only 24 hours. After that, wala na.
Alvarez says he has no plan of competing for the minority leadership. That's why he opted to join ABS party list Representative Eugene De Vera, whom he believes is the only remaining minority member. Instead, he plans to concentrate more on his responsibilities to his constituents in Davao del Norte. Meanwhile, Pimentel says he has no problem with several lawmakers from PDP Laban shifting alliance to regional party of Davao City Mayor Sara Duterte Carpio, hugpong ng pagbabago. The senator adds there is no inconsistency in being a member of national party and being a member of a regional party at the same time. Grace Casin, UNTV, News and Rescue, Quezon City.
The Duterte administration's policy to destroy instead of auctioning off smuggled luxury vehicles draw mixed reactions from netizens. Rosalie Cos tells us why.
President Rodrigo Duterte personally witnessed the condemnation of smuggled luxury cars in Port Irene, Santa Ana in Cagayan last Monday. Among those destroyed were Mercedes-Benz, Porsche, a Jaguar, Ford Mustang, and a Lamborghini Gallardo. A video of the said destruction posted online has already gained hundreds of thousands of views, with many posting their reactions. One netizen slams the policy, calling it the dumbest decision ever since the money worth of millions can be used instead to finance the government or police personnel. While one questioned Duterte's intelligence, who should have sold the vehicles and used the money for the poor and for the country. Others, meanwhile, support this action and said that auctioning these vehicles off would only encourage corruption. In response, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque says the destruction of the smuggled vehicles showed the determination of the president to prevent smugglers from further doing criminal acts.
That's the decision of the president to send the message that we will never let smugglers profit from their criminal acts. No? Alam naman natin na the alternative to destruction, they always find a way to benefit from it. No? That's why by destroying it, there's absolutely no likelihood that they would benefit from the criminal act.
The seized contrabands in Cagayan also include Hummers, but Duterte ordered this spared for the police and military use. A lawmaker meanwhile says a law should be created on how the government should utilize the confiscated items.
Dapat i-define na pagka yung confiscated na in favor of the government, pakinabangan na ng gobyerno at ito'y i-auction o kaya paggamit na lang sa mga taong gobyerno para hindi na nagpo-procure, bumibili ng sasakyan yung gobyerno.
Rosa Licoz, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
ASEAN foreign ministers officially begin today their annual meeting in Singapore to discuss top agenda including trade, war, and cybersecurity. ASEAN ministers also hope to reach an agreement with Russia on cybersecurity. Here's why from Myla Guevara.
The 51st ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting formally opens today after the 10 ASEAN foreign ministers paid their courtesy call to Singapore Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong. The ASEAN Foreign Ministers meeting and related meetings have the biggest number of delegations attending, with 4 key ASEAN meetings being held yearly. According to Singapore Foreign Affairs Minister Vivian Balakrishnan, the center of Singapore's chairmanship is ASEAN Future Ready, and the discussions are focused in resilience and innovation.
Earlier on during the opening ceremony, we discussed the need for us to maintain our composure and our ability to cope in the midst of these 3 major tectonic shifts. First, the transition to a multipolar world. Second, how to cope with impending and in fact ongoing trade wars. And third, the impact of the digital revolution. And as I said earlier in the opening speech also, we are already making steady progress.
Particularly the ASEAN cooperation on antimicrobial resistance, cybersecurity, smart cities, and counterterrorism. Also high on the agenda of the ministers' meeting are the trade war and cybersecurity, with ASEAN member states hoping to strike an agreement soon with Russia on cybersecurity. Recently, Singapore became a victim of the worst cyber attack in the country when personal information of around 1.5 million people, including Prime Minister Lee, were stolen from a government health database. Singapore will also launch the ASEAN Counterterrorism Symposium in October to conduct regional dialogues and discuss ways to resolve the root causes of terrorism, violent extremism, and radicalism. Myla Guevara, UNTV News and Rescue, Singapore.
A maritime security expert sees nothing wrong with the proposed joint exploration between the Philippines and China in the disputed West Philippine Sea. Mai Bermudez tells us why.
Foreign ministers from Southeast Asia and China have agreed on a single draft document that will form the basis of negotiations for a code of conduct in the West Philippine Sea. This was announced at the start of the 51st annual ministerial meeting held by the member states of the Southeast Asian nations in Singapore. China's overlapping territorial claims to islands in the sea, which is one of the world's busiest waterways. Claimants include several ASEAN members like the Philippines, Malaysia, and Vietnam. However, the ministers clarify that the code of conduct will not resolve the disputes but only prevent its escalation. With the possible creation of the said pact, a maritime security expert says he sees nothing wrong with the proposed joint exploration between the Philippines and China in the disputed waters, as long as Manila asserts its sovereign rights. Foreign Affairs Secretary Alan Peter Cayetano had said the Philippines' starting position is a 60-40 joint exploration in favor of Manila. According to Professor Romel Banlawi, the implications of the said cooperation should not be treated negatively, which include extraction and research in reed bank.
The reality is that we need to offer it to others because we don't have enough resources, both logistic, financial, and technological resources, to really explore and develop the resources of the reed bank.
Meantime, former President Benigno Aquino III calls for Cayetano's full disclosure of dealings with China.
So balikan ko lang. Naalala ko lang parehong halos ang hairstyle namin ni Alan Peter. Pareho kami transparent sa aming hairstyle. Siguro sa ating politics maging kasi transparent sa akin.
Cayetano earlier said that Aquino was fed with wrong information and insists that there's no secret dealings with China. Mai Bermudez, UNTV News and Rescue, Quezon City.
Ball players from participating government agencies are now preparing for the return of regular games as UNTV Cup Season 7 kicks off in September. They admit that after the executive face-off, they will be up against more competition. Bernard Dadis tells us why.
The UNTV Cup Season 7 will kickstart next month following the third off-season executive face-off wrap-up, which celebrates PNP responders as its new champion. Those Inyo Cagers are still reeling from the events of the recently held off-season games. They are now preparing their junior counterparts for the upcoming regular games. According to Senator Sani Angara, the captain ball of Senate Sentinels, participating teams are getting competitive, hence the need for them to beep out their strategies and endurance levels.
Ganda ng liga. Talagang lahat ng teams nag-step up at very tough ang competition. Kala ko magaling na yung team namin pero yung ibang teams na dati hindi nagpa-perform, nag-perform pa, gumaling pa lalo. So, it's senyales yun na siniseryoso talaga yung UNTV kahit off-season.
Other executives also agree with Angara's observation, and though they failed in the campaign to snag this off-season title, they are still pleased with the outcome and experience.
Unang-una, marami kami nakilala, no? At higit sa lahat, matindi ang competition actually. So, masaya. Hindi ko makakalimutan tong season na to dahil close fight lahat yung laban namin. And konting swerte lang. Finals na sana kami, pero masaya pa rin kami kahit hindi kami nakapasok.
Pinaka-memorable sa akin this season, yung nakita natin yung mga bagong teams at medyo competitive sila.
Above all, the public servants consider the charity ball game a good influence which primarily aims to help others in need.
Bilang public servant, dahil sa pagsali sa mga ganito, mas nabubuksan pa yung mata tsaka yung puso natin na ang pinaka-importante naman talaga sa buhay ay yung makatulong. So nagiging physically fit na kami, nagkakaroon na kami ng opportunity na magkakilala at magkasama-sama. Pero at the end of the day, ang matandaan namin talaga yung mga charitable institutions na natulungan namin sa pamagitan ng aming effort sa paglalaro.
Parang at least nakikilala kami na kahit na nasa public service kami, kahit paano nakakapag-sama-sama kami sa ganitong paraan. At paayos namin kahit paano yung aming serbisyo, nagkakaroon kami ng magandang coordination.
Pinakita sa atin na importante to do things for others. I think yung bawat isang naglalaro sa lahat ng kuponan dito, ginagawa para sa beneficiaryo nila. At the same time, enjoy din. So, posibleng mag-enjoy. So, pasalamat tayo sa UNTV sa paggawa nitong napakagandang tournament.
UNTV Cup is an annual charity basketball league participated by government agencies and former pro and amateur players. The project promotes unity, camaraderie, and physical fitness among government officials in the country. It is an original concept by Daniel Rason, tagged as Mr. Public Service, and materialized by UNTV, widely known as Public Service Television Station. The Members Church of God International is the league's main sponsor.
Nagawa ni kapatid na Daniel Rason na ang basketball na isang magandang sport mas mapaganda pa when you are doing it in the sense of public service and to help other people.
Bernard Dadis, UNTV News and Rescue, Philippines.
Up next on Y News. South Korea swelters in heat wave reaching hottest on record. And Wishcovery Season 2 audition begins in Naga City, Camarines Sur. Those are the reasons behind the stories in the second part of our newscast. Y News returns with William Thio. I am Angelo Castro III. Good evening.
To complete the most significant news for this day, Y News continues. Here are the top stories. Some bakery owners are eyeing to impose increase in the prices of bread amid the country's surging inflation. This is to offset their rising costs of production due to the spiking prices of raw materials such as sugar, milk, and eggs. An increase in the price of cooking gas was also reported earlier this week, but there is no hike recorded in the price of flour since January this year. Some bakers say they can still hold off the price hike so as not to lose their loyal customers amid tough competition.
Magtitiis kami as long as possible. Hindi kami santo Ayaw namin mawalan ng customer din. Kasi kung tumaas kami ng tumaas ang presyo, baka kumonti ng kumonti ang kakainin ng tao pang araw-araw, magtitipid na lang sila. Ayaw din namin mangyari yon. Gusto namin win-win.
Meanwhile, the Department of Health urges the public anew to avail of their free testing on human immunodeficiency virus or HIV. This is following an increase in the number of infection across the country in June that has reached 993. The DOH Epidemiology Bureau report states that 934 of the cases were among males, while the rest were females. It also means that Filipinos diagnosed with HIV daily has now risen to 31 compared to 2 per day in 2009. With the recent figures, the Philippines remains as the country with the fastest growing HIV cases in the Asia Pacific based on the report of the United Nations Program on HIV/AIDS. The DOH says it is important for Filipinos to get tested early to avail of free treatment which will help slow down the virus's growth.
HIV cases continue to rise, and the worst part is many of the cases are among individuals who are afraid to get themselves tested. The country has the highest percent of increase of new HIV cases in the Asia and Pacific region from 2010 to 2016 at 133%.
Around 10,000 slots will be opened this month for new Transport Network Vehicle Service franchise applicants. According to the Land Transportation Franchising and Regulatory Board, this is to reach the 65,000 supply limit imposed in Metro Manila. The agency appeals to TNVS drivers to process their franchise applications early through a deadline is yet to be determined. Presently, only 20,000 of the 55,000 units on LTFRB's master list of active TNVS have processed their application for provisional authority and certificate of public convenience.
Yung mga nasa listahan, alam nyo naman kung sino kayo na nasa listahan. In fact, tinatawagan kayo ng Grab na mag-apply na kayo. Pag mag-apply na rin kayo para lihitin muna kayong tatakbo at tumatakbo sa daan as a TNVS.
In other news, the Senate refuses to fast-track the deliberation on the proposed charter change despite House Speaker Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo's agreement to a separate voting in amending the Constitution. Nel Maribohok tells us why.
The Senate's position remains unchanged regarding the deliberation on the proposed amendments or revisions to the 1987 Philippine Constitution. This is despite the concurrence of House Speaker Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo on Senate's stance on separate voting of the two chambers if they convene in a joint session. According to Senator Panfilo Lacson, Arroyo's statement cannot be trusted and that the proposed chacha is already dead in the Senate.
What the Speaker or Speaker Arroyo has mentioned, pwede naman magpalit yun. And pagka nangyari yun, as I said, para naman kaming, para kami mga daga na natrap sa mousetrap. Right now, as far as the Senate is concerned, the proposed charter change on federalism is just waiting to be cremated.
Other senators, meanwhile, remains open for charter change debates.
Well, we are happy with the statement of the Speaker. It is the position also, I think, of majority, if not all, the members of the Senate na talagang voting separately.
But they are still awaiting the results of the hearing conducted by the Senate Committee on Constitutional Amendments on the issue. Currently, the Senate has no position yet on what mode will they amend or revise the Constitution. Nel Maribohok, UNTV News and Rescue, Senate of the Philippines.
A suspect in the bombing in Naga City, Basilan is now under police custody. Police identified the suspect as Indalin Jainul, who was arrested after he was found possessing a fragmentation grenade. Jainul has also been charged with illegal possession of explosives, while charges on multiple murder and serious physical injuries are being crafted. Jainul's family stood in defense of the suspect and claimed he went missing last Tuesday. He was already in Lamitan Police Station when his relatives found out about his whereabouts. The Philippine National Police, or PNP, create 3 new strategies amid its ongoing drive against rogues and criminals within its ranks. Leia Ilagan tells us why.
The Philippine National Police is stepping up its efforts to weed out scalawags from its rank and file. According to PNP Chief Police Director General Oscar Albayalde, some policemen continue to get involved in crimes and corruption despite the increased salary and benefits implemented by the Duterte administration.
Despite the fact na na-double na yung ating sweldo, we still see some people, yung mga ganyan na scalawags in uniform kung tawagin, na na-involved sa extortion and illegal activities. Hindi tayo masaya.
In response, 3 new strategies are formed under the revitalized PNP internal cleansing strategy aimed at eliminating rabble-rouser within its ranks. This include beefed up police trainings, intense background investigation on police recruits, and on those already part of the force.
We have this right-hand policy na pagpapanis sa kanila at pagbigay ng punishment. We also have this left-hand policy like yung ating values formation, yung spiritual cleansing na sinasabi natin. These are a more permanent, yung ating more permanent solution to this problem.
The PNP leadership reports that in the past 2 years, more than 6,000 cops had been administratively charged due to their involvement in illegal activities. Over 2,000 of this number have been dismissed from the service, including 300 cops who were linked to illegal drug trading. 3,500 meted out suspension, while 300 plus were demoted. It may appear in this data that police corruption has been ubiquitous and discipline has sorely deteriorated among the police. But according to PNP spokesman, Police Senior Superintendent Benigno Durana, cops implicated in illegal practices only constitute 1% of the total police force.
The Chief of the Philippine National Police, Director General Albayalde, said, our internal cleansing program, just like our war on drugs, would also be relentless, resolute, and chilling.
Leia Ilagan, UNTV News and Rescue, Camp Crame.
Some areas in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao will experience rains tomorrow. Leslie Longbowen is at the UNTV Weather Center to tell us why. Yes, Leslie?
Yes, good evening. There is no tropical cyclone monitored inside the Philippine area of responsibility. However, southwest monsoon is affecting southern Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Palawan, Mindoro, western Visayas, Zamboanga Peninsula, and ARMM will be under cloudy skies with scattered rains and thunderstorms. Isolated rains or thunderstorms will be experienced in Metro Manila, Calabarzon, Bicol Region, and the rest of Mimaropa, Visayas, and Mindanao. While the rest of the country will be under partly cloudy to cloudy skies with isolated rains and thunderstorms. According to Pag-asa, temperature in Metro Manila tomorrow will range from 26 to 30 degrees Celsius, 70 to 24 degrees Celsius in Baguio City, 25 to 31 degrees Celsius in Metro Cebu, and 26 to 32 degrees Celsius in Metro Davao. Tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 5:40 in the morning. That's the weather forecast. Back to the studio.
Thank you very much, Leslie Longbowen from the UNTV Weather Center. And for the news abroad, here's Jovic Bermas from London, United Kingdom, live. Good afternoon, Jovic.
Good evening, William. President Moon Jae-in has called for the heat wave blanketing South Korea to be declared a form of natural disaster as death toll climbs over 20. Here's why from Eric Ferrer.
South Korea's capital city of Seoul has recorded its hottest ever temperature at 39 degrees Celsius. According to authorities, more than 28 people have died and 2,266 have suffered heat-related conditions as a result of a sweltering heat wave. Some are beating the heat in pools and fountains, while others have turned to more creative methods, including ice vests, in an attempt to cool down.
It is an extreme misery that I cannot even walk without my fan in the daytime as the sunlight is too strong. Actually, I like summer, but this is the first time ever that I am suffering from the hot weather like this. There has been a heat wave day after day. We spray water for the people living in compact houses. Today, we are hosing every nook and corner as the temperature is extremely high, like 39 degrees Celsius. After hosing water, we can lower the temperature by 5 degrees Celsius.
The hot weather is set to continue throughout the week.
We forecast that the heat will last for a while as there won't be much change in the atmospheric pressure in the near future.
President Moon Jae-in has called for the heat wave to be declared a form of natural disaster, a move that would allow victims to claim compensation. The government has also set aside 6 billion won or $5.3 million for city and provincial governments to deal with the effects of the weather. Eric Ferrer, UNTV News and Rescue, South Korea.
Authorities are advising people in Poland, Lithuania, and Sweden to refrain from swimming in waters amid spreading algal bloom. This report tells us why. A huge bloom of toxic algae has spread in the Baltic Sea, forcing people off beaches but delighting scientists who research cancer and antibiotics. The blue-green algae or cyanobacteria is primarily caused by the excess of nutrients such as nitrogen and phosphorus used in food production in the water. Exceptionally hot weather and the lack of wind has exacerbated the effect, scientists say. Finnish Meteorological Institute said that this July was the hottest on record.
The environment is giving us back what we had deposited before. It works like a boomerang.
Cyanobacteria toxins are a risk to the marine ecosystem, especially for mussels and flounder, and also pose a threat to human health. People in Poland, Lithuania, and Sweden have been advised by the authorities not to swim in waters where the algae is blooming.
We asked the people right now. We didn't know that. We went there for holiday for go swimming. Yeah. We have to do sandbathing instead. Just lying here on the beach.
But some scientists are pleased because cyanobacteria are known for being a source of unique compounds that provide a means of studying substances that bacteria will be sensitive to in order to beat the growing prevalence of bacterial resistance.
I have a motto. If you cannot get rid of something, try to make use of it. That's why we are trying. The main focus of our study now is to find out how the organisms which are such a nuisance can be used to obtain materials that can be used in technological processes in pharmacology.
Jovic Bermas, UNTV News and Rescue, Europe. International agencies are calling for restraint as violence escalates in Zimbabwe. Meanwhile, Nicaraguan doctors are marching in Managua in protest of the dismissal of medical workers amid political unrest. Here's why from Beverly Saison.
In Zimbabwe, a government crackdown in Zimbabwe after Monday's election has prompted international calls for restraint. The UN and former colonial power, the UK, both expressed concern about the violence in which 3 people were killed after troops opened fire. Parliamentary results gave victory to the ruling ZANU-PF party in the first vote since the ouster of former ruler Robert Mugabe. But the opposition says ZANU-PF rigged the election. The result of the presidential election has yet to be declared. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres urges Zimbabwe's politicians to exercise restraint, while UK Foreign Office Minister Harriet Baldwin says she is deeply concerned by the violence. In Nicaragua, Nicaraguan doctors marched in Managua on Tuesday in protest of the dismissal of medical workers in the Central American country who were allegedly tending to injured demonstrators. About 40 state doctors were dismissed on July 27 for reportedly treating people protesting against President Daniel Ortega's government. The unrest has led nearly 300 deaths and many more people injured since protests began 3 months ago. Ortega has so far resisted demands to resign and hold early elections. And in America, U.S. Vice President Mike Pence said on Wednesday that today, our boys are coming home, as he took part in the repatriation ceremony of the remains of Americans who died in the Korean War. The U.S. military will begin a painstaking identification process that experts say could take from 3 days to 2 decades to complete. The caskets bear not only the remains thought to be of missing servicemen from the 1950 to 1953 Korean War, but also a message of good faith made by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un at his summit with U.S. President Donald Trump in June. Trump thanked him for keeping the promise he made as part of their talks about North Korea's denuclearization. Beverly Saison, UNTV News and Rescue.
Thank you very much, Jovic Burmas, live from London, United Kingdom. Bicolanos flock to Naga City, Camarines Sur to showcase their vocal prowess. Leslie Longbowen tells us why.
The search for the next singing sensation is now on as Wishcovery Season 2 kicks off its nationwide auditions here in Naga, Camarines Sur.
Your love is like the sun. Kumawali ka sa buhay ko.
Bicolanos prove they have what it takes to be the next Wishcovery Grand Champion.
Laging alaala ka.
Some of those who did not make it in Season 1 try their luck for this season.
May standard siya kasi when you speak of Wish 107, kumbaga it's a big event. Malaki talaga to. Tinututukan ng lahat.
Sisisi sa isip mo, nalaman mo, ika'y nagkamali.
Gusto ko talaga mag-perform. I really love singing. So, hanggat may opportunity, hanggat may chance, grab lang ng grab.
One of Wishcovery Season 1's Wishful 20, Laika Bunyol of Naga, served as one of the hosts and supported her fellow Bicolanos.
Andyan ka na naman, ba't di ko maiwasan?
Mostly na nakita ko dun sa list is 18 years old pa lang sila, pero sobrang gagaling na nila. Nakita ko talaga ngayon ko na-prove na madaming talented na mga singers dito sa Naga, hindi pa nade-discover.
On August 9, Wish 1075 will go to Malolos, Bulacan for the next leg of Wishcovery auditions. Leslie Longbowen, UNTV News and Rescue, Naga City.
And those are the reasons behind the news August 2, 2018. On behalf of Rheena, Villamor-Camara, and Angelo Castro III, I am William Thio. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. Good evening.